There is a version of you nothing can shake, not insults, not pressure, not chaos, but you have not met that version yet. Most people live reacting to everything, giving their energy away, and calling it strength when it is actually a lack of control. What if the real problem is not life, but your inability to stay unbothered when life tests you? Before we go deeper, consider subscribing to this channel if you want a mind that stays calm under pressure and powerful in silence. This is not motivation, this is transformation, and it will challenge how you think, react, and live. Now understand this: the world rewards reaction, but power lives in restraint, and very few people ever learn that. Staying unbothered is not pretending, it is not weakness, it is trained emotional control built through discipline and awareness. Every time you react without thinking, you give control to something outside of you. Control lost is power lost, and power lost makes you predictable and easy to manipulate. Most people are addicted to reacting because it feels natural, but natural is not always powerful. True strength is feeling everything and still choosing not to react impulsively. It is hearing disrespect and remaining calm, seeing chaos and staying centered. That level of control makes you dangerous in the best way. People expect reactions, and when they do not get one, they lose control over you. This is why calm people intimidate others without saying a word. Your peace is not found, it is protected through discipline and intentional living. The world will pull you into arguments, distractions, and emotional traps daily. Without control, you will fall into every one of them. With control, you step back, observe, and choose wisely. You stop explaining yourself to people who do not want to understand you. You stop reacting to opinions that do not build your future. You stop chasing validation from people who lack self-worth. This is where your energy begins to return to you. Energy is everything, and where you place it shapes your life. Wasting energy on small battles leaves you weak for important ones. Most people lose themselves through repeated small reactions over time. They do not notice it until they feel drained and disconnected. But you are here to build something stronger. You are here to become unshakable in a world full of noise. That starts with awareness of your emotions and triggers. When you become aware, you gain the power to choose differently. You begin to pause before reacting and think before speaking. You realize most things are not personal. People act from their own pain, not your reality. Once you understand this, you stop carrying unnecessary emotional weight. You become free from the need to defend yourself constantly. Freedom comes from controlling yourself, not others. That is the foundation of a Stoic mindset. Control what you can and release what you cannot. It sounds simple, but it requires daily discipline to live. Your mind will try to pull you back into old habits. But each time you choose control, you grow stronger. You are not your emotions, you are the observer of them. That awareness changes everything about how you respond. Instead of reacting, you begin to choose your actions. Between what happens and your response lies your power. That space is where unbothered strength is built. It is built during pressure, not comfort. It is built when everything inside you wants to react. Remaining calm in chaos is the real test of strength. Anyone can react, but few can remain controlled. When you remain, you stay clear, focused, and strategic. While others lose control, you gain advantage. This difference compounds over time and transforms your life. You start to notice things no longer disturb you. Situations that once triggered you lose their power. People who controlled your emotions no longer can. This is how you know you are evolving. Not because life is easier, but because you are stronger. The unbothered mindset is not built in one moment. It is built in layers, tested daily, refined through pressure. You will be tested when someone disrespects you and your ego demands a response. You will be tested when things do not go your way and frustration starts rising. You will be tested when people misunderstand you and try to pull you into explaining yourself. In those moments, your reaction will define your level of control. Most people fail here because they react instantly without awareness. But you are training to be different, to pause before every reaction. That pause is small, but it is powerful. That pause is where you take your power back. Because in that pause, you remind yourself that not everything deserves your energy. You remind yourself that reacting will not improve the situation. You remind yourself that your peace is more valuable than being right. And slowly, this becomes your default response. Not reacting becomes your strength. Silence becomes your strategy. Control becomes your identity. But understand this, staying unbothered does not mean you accept disrespect. It means you choose when and how to respond without losing control. There is a difference between reacting emotionally and responding strategically. Reaction is fast, emotional, and often regretful. Response is calm, calculated, and powerful. When you respond instead of react, you stay in control of the outcome. You do not let emotions dictate your actions. You do not let temporary feelings create permanent consequences. This is discipline in its purest form. And discipline is what separates those who grow from those who stay stuck. Because without discipline, emotions will control your life. With discipline, you control your emotions. And once you reach that level, everything begins to shift. Your confidence increases because you trust yourself. Your decisions improve because they are not clouded by emotion. Your relationships become clearer because you stop engaging in unnecessary conflict. You begin to see through distractions that once controlled you. You stop wasting time on things that do not align with your purpose. You become focused, sharp, and intentional, and people will notice this change. Some will respect it. Some will feel uncomfortable around it. Some will try harder to provoke you just to see if you will react. That is another test, and you must understand that not every reaction deserves your attention. Sometimes people test you because they are used to controlling others emotionally. When they see they cannot control you, they become frustrated. Do not fall into that trap. Their frustration is not your responsibility. Their expectations are not your burden. Your only responsibility is maintaining your control. Because once you lose control, even for a moment, you reset your progress. That is why consistency matters. It is not about being perfect. It is about returning to control every time you slip. And you will slip. There will be moments where you react, moments where emotions take over. Do not let those moments define you. Learn from them, reflect on them, understand what triggered you and why. That awareness will strengthen your next response. Growth is not about never reacting. It is about reacting less and controlling more over time. And as this builds, something powerful happens. You become less affected by external noise. Opinions lose their weight. Criticism loses its sting. Negativity loses its influence. Because your internal state becomes stronger than external forces. That is the goal. To build a mind that is stronger than anything outside of it. A mind that cannot be easily disturbed. A mind that remains steady no matter the situation. This is what it means to truly stay unbothered. It is not about escaping life. It is about mastering yourself within life. And once you master yourself, everything else becomes easier to handle. Pressure becomes manageable. Conflict becomes strategic. Challenges become opportunities to strengthen your control. You stop seeing problems as threats. You start seeing them as tests of your mindset. And every test you pass makes you stronger. Every moment you remain calm builds your confidence. Every situation you handle with control reinforces your identity. You begin to trust your ability to handle anything. That trust is powerful. Because once you trust yourself, fear begins to lose its hold. You no longer panic under pressure. You no longer rush decisions. You no longer feel the need to prove anything to anyone. You move with quiet confidence. You act with clarity. You live with intention. And that is rare. Because most people are controlled by their environment. They change based on situations, people, and emotions. But you are building something different. You are building consistency within yourself. No matter what happens around you, you remain the same. Calm, focused, and in control. That is power. Not loud power, not aggressive power, but controlled power. The kind of power that does not need to be announced. The kind of power that is felt without words. And the more you practice this, the stronger it becomes. It becomes natural. It becomes effortless. It becomes who you are. But it starts with a decision. A decision to stop reacting to everything. A decision to protect your energy. a decision to prioritize your peace over temporary emotions. And once you make that decision, you must commit to it daily. Because the world will not make it easy. It will test you repeatedly. It will push your limits. It will try to break your control. But every time you remain unbothered, you win. Not against others, but against your old self. And that is the only victory that truly matters. So keep building, keep practicing, keep choosing control over reaction. Because the more you do, the closer you get to becoming unshakable. And once you reach that level, nothing will move you unless you allow it. Nothing will move you unless you allow it. And that is the moment your life begins to shift in ways you never imagined. Because when you stop being easily moved, you stop being easily controlled. And when you stop being controlled, you start becoming intentional with everything you do. You no longer wake up reacting to life, you wake up directing it. Your thoughts become sharper. Your actions become deliberate. Your presence becomes heavier without you saying a word. There is a quiet authority that comes from being unbothered. It is not loud, it does not seek attention, but it commands respect naturally. People can feel when you are not easily shaken. They notice when you do not chase arguments. They notice when you do not rush to defend yourself. They notice when you stay calm in situations that break others. And without realizing it, they begin to treat you differently. Not because you demanded respect, but because your behavior required it. This is the power of silent control. You do not argue for your value, you embody it. You do not react to every opinion. You filter what deserves your attention. You do not let emotions drag you. You lead them with awareness. And this changes how you move in every area of life. In conversations, you listen more than you speak. In conflict, you observe more than you react. In decisions, you think more than you rush. Everything becomes slower, but stronger. Because speed without control leads to mistakes. But patience with awareness leads to precision. And precision is what builds results. Now here is where it gets deeper. Staying unbothered is not just about ignoring negativity. It is about understanding your own mind at a level most people avoid. Because sometimes the chaos is not outside. Sometimes it is inside you. Your thoughts racing, your emotions pulling you in different directions. Your mind trying to replay situations, create arguments, imagine outcomes that do not exist. This internal noise is where most people lose control. Not in the world, but in their own head. And if you cannot control your inner world, you cannot control your outer world. So you must learn to sit with your thoughts without becoming them. You must learn to observe your emotions without obeying them. You must learn to let feelings pass without turning them into actions. This is where real strength is built. Not in what you show others, but in what you control within yourself. Because nobody sees the battles inside your mind. Nobody hears the thoughts you choose to silence. Nobody feels the emotions you decide not to act on. But those decisions shape your entire life. And every time you win internally, you become stronger externally. You become harder to disturb, harder to provoke, harder to break. And that is where you start operating on a different level. A level where distractions no longer control you. A level where negativity cannot easily reach you. A level where your focus becomes your greatest weapon. Because once your mind is clear, your path becomes clearer. You stop chasing everything. You start choosing what truly matters. You stop reacting to every opportunity. You start aligning with the right ones. This is where growth accelerates. Because your energy is no longer scattered. It is directed, focused, intentional. And focused energy creates powerful results. While others are distracted, you are building. While others are reacting, you are progressing. While others are overwhelmed, you are steady. And over time, this gap becomes undeniable. People will wonder how you stay so calm. They will wonder how you avoid drama. They will wonder how you move with such control. But they will not see the discipline behind it. They will not see the moments you chose silence over reaction. They will not see the times you controlled your emotions when it was difficult. They will only see the result, not the process. And that is fine, because this journey is not for them. It is for you. It is about becoming someone you respect. Someone who does not fold under pressure. someone who does not lose control easily, someone who remains grounded no matter the situation. And that kind of person is rare, because most people never take the time to build that level of control. They stay trapped in cycles of reaction. They stay controlled by emotions they never question. They stay distracted by things that do not matter. But you are stepping out of that. You are choosing awareness. You are choosing discipline. You are choosing growth. And those choices will separate you over time. Not instantly, but gradually. Day by day, moment by moment, decision by decision. Until one day you look back and realize something has changed. You are calmer. You are clearer. You are stronger. Things that once affected you no longer do. Situations that once stressed you now feel manageable. People who once controlled your emotions no longer have access to that power. And in that moment, you understand something powerful. You understand that staying unbothered was never about ignoring life. It was about mastering yourself within it. And once you master yourself, you move through life differently. With confidence, with control, with clarity. Unshaken, focused, and completely in charge of who you are becoming. So keep going. Keep practicing. Keep choosing control even when it is hard. Because every moment you do, you are building a version of yourself that nothing can break. Because every moment you do, you are building a version of yourself that nothing can break. And this is where ancient wisdom begins to align with your daily life in a powerful way. The Stoics understood something most people ignore, that your suffering does not come from events, it comes from your judgment of those events. Epictetus said that it is not things that disturb us, but the way we see them, and if you truly understand this, you begin to reclaim control over your mind. Because if your reaction is the problem, then your reaction is also the solution. This is where the principle of control becomes your foundation. There are things within your control and things outside of it, and confusing the two is what creates frustration. Your thoughts, your actions, your responses are within your control. Other people's opinions, behavior, and outcomes are not. The moment you focus only on what you can control, your mind becomes lighter. You stop carrying burdens that were never yours to carry. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself constantly, reminding his mind to stay disciplined, to stay rational, to stay grounded no matter what happened around him. He faced war, betrayal, pressure, yet he trained his mind to remain steady. Not because life was easy, but because his mindset was strong. And this is the same training you are stepping into, because staying unbothered is not passive, it is active mental discipline. It is catching your thoughts before they spiral. It is questioning your emotions before they control you. It is choosing reason over impulse again and again. Seneca taught that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, and if you pay attention to your mind, you will see how often it creates problems that do not exist. You replay conversations. You imagine outcomes. You build scenarios that drain your energy before anything even happens. This is unnecessary suffering. And the unbothered mindset eliminates this by staying present, by focusing only on what is real and what can be acted upon. Nothing more, nothing less. This is where clarity begins. And clarity brings calm, because when your mind is not overloaded with imagined problems, it has space to think clearly. And clear thinking leads to better decisions. Now understand this deeper. The Stoics practiced something called voluntary discomfort. They would put themselves in challenging situations to train their minds, not to suffer but to prepare. Because when you train yourself to handle discomfort, you stop fearing it. And when you stop fearing it, it loses its control over you. This is why you must embrace small challenges daily. Moments where you resist reacting. Moments where you stay silent instead of arguing. Moments where you choose patience instead of frustration. These small acts are training your mind. They are building resilience within you. And over time, this resilience becomes your default. You no longer panic under pressure. You no longer feel overwhelmed easily. You become steady, grounded, and controlled. This is what the Stoics called inner citadel, a place within you that remains untouched by external chaos. No matter what happens outside, your inner state remains stable. And that is the ultimate goal. Not to control the world, but to control yourself within it. Because the world will always be unpredictable. People will always have opinions. Situations will not always go your way, but your response can always be trained. Your mindset can always be strengthened. Your control can always be improved. And this is where your freedom lies. Not in changing circumstances, but in mastering your reaction to them. This is why staying unbothered is not about ignoring reality. It is about seeing reality clearly without emotional distortion. It is about accepting what is and acting wisely within it. Acceptance is not weakness. It is clarity, because once you accept reality, you stop wasting energy resisting it, and you start using your energy to move forward. This is how progress is made. Not through reaction, but through intention. Not through chaos, but through control. And as you continue building this mindset, something powerful happens. You begin to trust life more. Not because it becomes easier, but because you become capable. Capable of handling pressure. Capable of facing challenges. Capable of staying grounded no matter what comes. And that capability creates confidence. Not loud confidence, but quiet certainty. The kind that does not need validation. The kind that does not need to prove anything. Because it is built on discipline, not opinion. And once you reach this level, you move differently. You stop chasing approval. You stop fearing rejection. You stop reacting to negativity. You simply observe, decide, and act. With clarity, with purpose, with control. And that is the essence of the Stoic mindset. To live with reason, to act with discipline, to remain steady in all situations. To build a mind that serves you, not controls you. To become someone who is not easily shaken by the world. So continue this practice. Continue observing your mind. Continue choosing control over reaction. Continue strengthening your inner world. Because every time you do, you are stepping closer to becoming truly unbothered. Not as an act, but as your nature. Calm in chaos. Focused in distraction. Unshaken in pressure. And completely in control of yourself. And now you begin to realize something even deeper. Something most people never sit long enough to confront. That being unbothered is not just a skill, it is a complete shift in identity. Because as long as you see yourself as someone who tries to stay calm, you will keep failing under pressure. But the moment you start seeing yourself as someone who is calm, everything begins to align differently. This is what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote about becoming the person your principles demand, not occasionally but consistently. You are not practicing calmness, you are becoming it. And becoming requires repetition, awareness, and brutal honesty with yourself. Because there are moments when you are not reacting to others, you are reacting to your own ego. Your need to be right, your need to be respected, your need to be seen a certain way. And these needs, when unchecked, become chains. Invisible but powerful. They pull you into arguments you did not need. They push you to respond when silence would have been stronger. They convince you that every battle is worth fighting. But the Stoics saw through this illusion. Epictetus taught that if someone insults you, what harms you is not the insult, but your belief that you have been harmed. Pause there, because that changes everything. It means your pain is not in their words. It is in your interpretation. And if interpretation creates the pain, then awareness can dissolve it. So the next time you feel triggered, do not rush to react. Sit in that feeling. Observe it without judgment. Ask yourself, what exactly am I reacting to? Is it the situation, or is it the story I am telling myself about it? This is where depth begins. Because most people never question their reactions. They justify them. They defend them. They build identities around them. I am just like this. That is how I am. But that is not truth. That is conditioning. And anything conditioned can be unlearned. This is where discipline becomes uncomfortable. Because now you are not just controlling reactions, you are confronting yourself. Your patterns, your insecurities, your habits of thinking. And that is not easy, because it requires you to admit that sometimes the chaos you feel is self-created. Not intentionally, but unconsciously, through repeated thoughts, through unchecked emotions, through automatic reactions. But here is the power in that realization. If you created it, you can change it. If your mind learned it, your mind can unlearn it. And that is where true control begins. Seneca spoke about training the mind the way you train the body. Not occasionally, but daily. Because a weak mind reacts. So when the moment comes, when someone disrespects you, when something goes wrong, when emotions rise, that is not the time to decide who you are. That is the time you reveal who you have been becoming. And if you have been building awareness, you will pause. If you have been building discipline, you will choose control. If you have been building clarity, you will not be easily shaken. This is the Stoic path. Not perfection, but progress. Not suppression, but understanding. Not weakness, but controlled strength. Because staying unbothered is not about feeling nothing. It is about feeling deeply, but not being ruled by it. It is about having emotions, but not becoming them. It is about experiencing life fully, but responding to it wisely. And that requires presence. Real presence. Not being lost in thoughts about the past. Not being anxious about the future, but being fully aware of the moment you are in. Because control only exists in the present. You cannot control yesterday. You cannot control tomorrow. You can only control now. And if you master now, repeatedly, consistently, intentionally, your life begins to transform without force. You become grounded. You become centered. You become difficult to disturb. And that is where something almost invisible happens. You begin to detach from outcomes. Not because you do not care, but because you understand that your role is to act, not to control results. This is another core Stoic truth. Do your best, control your effort, and release the rest. Because attachment to outcomes creates anxiety, but focus on effort creates peace. And peace is power, because a peaceful mind thinks clearly, acts wisely, moves intentionally, while others are overwhelmed by expectations and fear. So as you go deeper into this mindset, you stop asking, "What will happen to me?" And you start asking, "How will I respond to whatever happens?" That shift changes everything, because now you are prepared for anything. Not because you know the future, but because you trust your ability to handle it. And that trust, that deep internal certainty, is what makes you unshakable. So go deeper. Do not just listen to this. Live it. Observe yourself daily. Catch your reactions. Question your thoughts. Refine your responses. Because every moment is training. Every situation is practice. Every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen your mind. And the more you commit to this, the more you realize something powerful. That the world has not changed, but you have. And because you have changed, everything feels different. Lighter, clearer, more controlled. And in that control, you find something rare. Freedom. Not freedom from life, but freedom within it. The ability to remain yourself in every situation. The ability to stay grounded no matter what happens. The ability to move through chaos without becoming it. And that is the highest level of being unbothered. Not an act, not a mask, but a way of life. And once it becomes a way of life, you start to notice something almost unsettling. The things that used to control you now feel distant, like echoes from a version of yourself you barely recognize. You remember how quickly you used to react, how easily your mood could be shifted by someone else's words, how one moment could ruin your entire day. And now, those same moments arrive, but they do not land the same. They pass through you instead of settling within you. That is growth. Not loud, not dramatic, but deeply powerful. It is the quiet realization that you are no longer a slave to every emotion that rises within you. And this is where your awareness sharpens even further. Because now you begin to see how much of the world operates unconsciously. You see people reacting without thinking. You see arguments that lead nowhere. You see emotional patterns repeating over and over again. And instead of being pulled into it, you observe it. Not with judgment, but with clarity. Because Epictetus taught that when you understand why people act the way they do, frustration turns into understanding. Not acceptance of bad behavior, but awareness of its source. And awareness creates distance. Distance between you and unnecessary emotional involvement. This distance is not coldness. It is control. It is the ability to stay grounded while still seeing everything clearly. And with that clarity, you begin to choose your battles with precision. You no longer feel the need to respond to everything. You no longer feel responsible for correcting everyone. You no longer feel pulled into conversations that drain you, because you understand something most people miss. Attention is a form of currency, and where you spend it determines the quality of your life. So you become selective. You invest your attention in growth, in purpose, in things that actually move you forward, and you withdraw it from noise, from drama, from anything that disrupts your peace without adding value. This is discipline at a higher level, not just controlling reactions but controlling focus, because focus shapes direction, and direction shapes your life. So as your focus sharpens, your life becomes more intentional. You stop drifting. You stop reacting to whatever comes your way. You start moving with purpose, and purpose creates structure. Structure creates consistency, and consistency builds identity. This is how transformation becomes permanent. Not through intensity, but through repetition. Not through emotion, but through discipline. And yet, even as you grow, the tests do not disappear. They evolve. They become more subtle, less obvious, but more revealing. Because now it is not just about staying calm in obvious conflict. It is about maintaining control in quiet moments. Moments where no one is watching. Moments where your thoughts begin to wander. Moments where your old patterns try to return. This is where mastery is developed. Because it is easy to appear controlled externally. But true control is internal. It is what you do with your thoughts when you are alone. It is how you speak to yourself when things go wrong. It is how you handle disappointment without collapsing into negativity. And this is where Marcus Aurelius spent most of his effort. Not controlling others, but guiding his own mind. Reminding himself daily to stay disciplined, to stay rational, to stay aligned with his values. Because he understood something powerful. Your mind, if left unchecked, will work against you. It will exaggerate problems. It will create fear. It will pull you into emotional reactions. But a trained mind does the opposite. Creates clarity. It builds resilience. Keeps you grounded. So you must become your own guide, your own observer, your own teacher, constantly correcting, refining, improving, not with harshness, but with awareness. Because growth is not about attacking yourself. It is about understanding yourself. And once you understand yourself, you gain influence over yourself. And influence over yourself is the highest form of power. Because it means no situation can fully control you. No person can easily manipulate you. No emotion can completely overwhelm you. You may feel everything, but you are not ruled by anything. And that is where your presence changes. You walk differently. You speak differently. You carry a certain calm that cannot be faked. Not because life is perfect, but because you are stable within it. And stability creates confidence. Not loud confidence, but grounded certainty. The kind that does not need validation. The kind that remains even when things go wrong. And when things do go wrong, you handle them differently. You do not panic. You do not overreact. You assess. You adapt. You respond. This is the Stoic way. To meet reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. To act based on reason, not impulse. To remain steady, no matter the external conditions. And the deeper you go into this, the more you realize something important. Peace is not something you find at the end of your journey. It is something you practice along the way. In every moment. In every interaction. In every decision. Because peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of control. And control is built through awareness, discipline, and consistent effort. So you continue. Not perfectly, but intentionally. Not rushing, but refining. Not reacting, but observing. Because every moment you stay grounded, you strengthen your foundation. Every moment you choose control, you reinforce your identity. Every moment you remain unbothered, you step deeper into who you are becoming. And who you are becoming is someone rare. Someone steady. Someone focused. Someone unshakable. Not because nothing happens to you, but because nothing easily moves you anymore. And now you reach a point where softness is no longer enough, where being calm is not just a preference. It becomes a standard you refuse to break under any circumstance. Because let's be honest, most people don't lack knowledge, they lack discipline. They know they shouldn't react, yet they still explode, they still argue, they still let small things control their entire state. That ends here. You are no longer that version of yourself. You don't get to say, "That's just how I am" anymore, because that is not identity, that is laziness disguised as personality. And if you truly want to be unbothered, you must become ruthless with your standards. Ruthless with what you allow. Ruthless with how you respond. Ruthless with the thoughts you entertain. Because your mind, if undisciplined, will betray you at the worst possible moments. It will convince you to react. It will justify your anger. It will make you feel powerful in the moment, then weak after. And that cycle will repeat until you break it. So break it, not tomorrow. Now, the next time someone disrespects you, your ego will rise instantly. You will feel it. That heat, that urge to respond, to prove, to defend. And in that exact moment, you must override it. Not suppress it blindly, but dominate it consciously. Because Epictetus made it clear, if you are controlled by anger, you are not free. So what are you choosing, freedom or reaction? Because you cannot have both. And understand this clearly, reacting is easy. Anyone can lose control. Anyone can shout. Anyone can argue. That requires no discipline. But remaining composed when everything inside you wants to explode, that is rare. That is strength. That is power. And power is built in those exact moments where it feels hardest to stay in control. So stop looking for comfort. Stop expecting it to be easy. It is not supposed to be easy. It is supposed to challenge you. It is supposed to expose your weaknesses. Because every time you feel triggered, that is not an inconvenience. That is training. That is an opportunity to see where you still lack control. And instead of avoiding it, you face it head on. You sit in the discomfort. You refuse to react. You let the emotion pass without turning it into action. That is dominance over self. And that is what separates you from the average. Because the average person cannot sit with discomfort. They need to react. They need to release. They need to express immediately. But you are building something different. You are building restraint. You are building control. You are building a mind that does not fold under pressure. And that requires intensity. Real intensity. Not motivation, not hype, but consistent, deliberate effort. Daily. Relentless. Uncompromising. Because if you are inconsistent, your mind will go back to old patterns. It will drag you back into reaction. Back into weakness. Back into emotional dependency. And you cannot afford that. Not if you want to grow. Not if you want to lead. Not if you want to become unshakable. Seneca warned that a man who cannot control himself is already defeated. Not by others, but by his own lack of discipline. So look at yourself honestly. Where do you still lose control? Where do you still react without thinking? Where do you still allow emotions to override your logic? That is where your work is. Not in what you are good at, but in what still breaks you. Because that is your weakness. And weakness ignored becomes a pattern. But weakness confronted becomes strength. So confront it. Every single time. No excuses. No justifications. No, just this once. Because that one moment becomes 2. Then 3. Then a habit. And habits shape your identity. So if you want to be unbothered, you must act like it consistently. Not sometimes. Not when it is easy. But especially when it is hard. That is where it matters. That is where it counts. Because anyone can stay calm when everything is fine. But chaos reveals truth. Pressure exposes reality. And reality shows who you really are. Not who you pretend to be. Not who you say you are. But who you have trained yourself to be. So train harder. Think sharper. React less. Observe more. Control everything within you with precision. Because once you master that, nothing outside of you will have the power to control you again. And that is not just growth. That is transformation. And once you step into that level of discipline, there is no going back, because now you see clearly, you see how weak reactions used to control you, and you refuse to return to that state. You start holding yourself to a higher standard, not for others but for yourself. Because now you understand that every reaction is a reflection of your level of control. And you are no longer negotiating with weakness. You are no longer entertaining excuses. You are no longer allowing temporary emotions to dictate permanent behavior. That version of you is finished. You are building something sharper now, something disciplined, something precise. And precision requires awareness at every level. Not just when people are watching, but when you are alone, because that is where your real character is revealed. When no one is there to judge you, when no one is there to correct you, when it is just you and your thoughts, that is the battlefield. And most people lose there. They let their minds wander. They replay negativity. They feed emotions that weaken them. And then they wonder why they feel out of control. But you are no longer blind to this. You see it. You catch it. You correct it immediately, because a thought left unchecked becomes an emotion. An emotion left unchecked becomes an action. An action repeated becomes a habit. And a habit becomes your identity. So you cut it at the root, at the thought level, before it grows, before it spreads, before it takes control. That is mastery. That is awareness in motion. And that is what Marcus Aurelius meant when he reminded himself to guard his mind like a fortress. Because if your mind is strong, nothing enters without your permission. No insult, no negativity, no unnecessary distraction. Everything is filtered. Everything is observed. Everything is either accepted or rejected with intention. That is control, absolute control. And when you operate at this level, something changes in how you handle pressure. Pressure no longer feels like a threat, feels like a test of your discipline, a test of your awareness, a test of your identity. And instead of avoiding it, you lean into it, because you know this is where growth happens. This is where you prove to yourself that you are no longer who you used to be. So when pressure rises, you do not panic. You slow down, you breathe, you think, you respond. While others rush, you remain steady. While others react, you stay calculated. And that difference puts you in control of every situation you enter. Not because you dominate others, but because you dominate yourself. And self-mastery is the highest form of dominance. Because once you control yourself, no external force can easily shake you. No opinion can define you. No situation can break you. No emotion can override you. You become stable, consistent, reliable, not just to others, but to yourself. And that builds something deeper than confidence. It builds trust, self-trust, the kind where you know no matter what happens, you will handle it. Not perfectly, but with control, with awareness, with discipline. And that trust removes fear, because fear often comes from uncertainty about how you will respond. But when you trust yourself, that uncertainty disappears. You know you will not lose control. You know you will not act recklessly. You know you will stay grounded. And that changes how you move through life. You take on challenges without hesitation. You face conflict without fear. You step into pressure without resistance. Because you are not afraid of what might happen. You are confident in how you will respond. And that is power. Real power. Not loud, not aggressive, but controlled and undeniable. And as you continue building this, your tolerance for nonsense drops. You no longer entertain low-level distractions. You no longer engage in meaningless arguments. You no longer give energy to things that do not align with your growth. Because you understand the cost. Every distraction weakens focus. Every reaction drains energy. Every lack of discipline delays progress. And you are no longer willing to pay that price. So you become strict, focused, intentional, not cold, but controlled, not distant, but disciplined, because there is a difference. You are not shutting people out. You are simply refusing to let anything disrupt your internal stability. And that stability becomes your advantage. Because while others are inconsistent, you are steady. While others are emotional, you are clear. While others are reactive, you are strategic. And over time, this creates separation. A gap between you and the average. a gap that continues to widen as you stay committed. Because most people will not do this work. They will talk about growth but avoid discipline. They will want results but avoid discomfort. They will chase control but refuse to control themselves. But you are not most people. You are building something different, something rare, something unshakable. So keep going. Stay sharp. Stay aware. Stay disciplined. Because every moment you hold your standard, you reinforce your identity. And your identity is what determines your future. Not luck, not circumstances, not other people, but who you choose to be consistently under pressure. And once that becomes solid, nothing can move you off your path. And when you reach that level, understand this clearly, you are no longer chasing control, you are living it, breathing it, embodying it in every situation, and that is where your power becomes undeniable. Because at that point, life does not need to be perfect for you to remain steady. People do not need to agree with you for you to stay confident. Situations do not need to go your way for you to stay in control. You have built something internal that no external force can easily break. And that is rare. That is dangerous. That is unshakable. So remember this, every moment you react without thinking, you lose a piece of your control. But every moment you pause, observe, and choose discipline, you take that control back. This is a daily fight, a silent one. No applause, no recognition, just you versus the weaker version of yourself. And every day, one of you wins. So decide who wins today, because the world will test you, people will provoke you, life will pressure you, but none of that decides who you become. You decide that in your thoughts, in your reactions, in your discipline. So stand firm, stay controlled, stay unbothered. Not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. And if you are serious about building this mindset, if you are done being controlled by emotions, distractions, and temporary feelings, then this is your moment. Do not just watch. Do not just listen. Commit, apply it, live it. And if you are ready to keep sharpening your mind, to keep building this level of discipline and control, then subscribe to this channel right now. Because this is not just content. This is a transformation. And it starts with you.